On today's episode of Locked On Wild, after snatching a victory out of the jaws of defeat against the Jets, we'll talk about reasons for optimism and concern for the Wild.
Hey, this is Matt Boldy, and you're listening to Locked On Wild.
Hey, this is Marcus Foligno, and you're listening to Locked On Wild.
You're Locked On Wild, your daily podcast on the Minnesota Wild. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, I'm Seth Toupal. Welcome to Locked On Wild, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. Locked On Wild is your daily Minnesota Wild podcast. We are your team every day. We thank you for making Locked On Wild your first listen each and every day as well. Make sure you subscribe on all of your favorite audio and video platforms so you don't miss out on any new episodes throughout the week. On today's episode of Locked On Wild, we'll recap a 4-3 overtime win for the Wild against the Winnipeg Jets. We'll look at the continued ascension for Matt Boldy. We'll talk about some concerns for offense and the NHL's best road penalty kill. Plus, we'll take a look ahead to tomorrow's matchup against the Vegas Golden Knights, last year's round 1 playoff matchup. My name is Seth Toupal, host of Locked On Wild, credentialed media member, and host of Locked On Wild for the last 5 seasons. And it was looking like it was going to be a loss against the Winnipeg Jets yesterday as the Wild trailed 3-2 in the final minutes. And then all of a sudden it wasn't, as Matt Zuccarello scored after a Jets goal had been waved off. The Jets thought they had an empty net goal, but waved off due to a penalty on the complete other side of the ice. So the Wild ended up getting a chance to go with the extra attacker. They score. Matt Zuccarello sends the game to overtime, and we finally got to see Kirill Kaprizov, Quinn Hughes, and Matt Boldy on the ice in OT. It was magical. And Boldy scores his second goal of the game, the OT winner, and the Wild all of a sudden go from a third straight loss to a win against the Winnipeg Jets. And this is one of the marks of a good team. Now, you're not going to get, power plays late in the game. You're not going to get those all the time. And the Wilds definitely took advantage of that opportunity. But the good teams are the ones that find ways to improbably get the game to overtime, regroup, and find a way to win it in OT. The Minnesota Wild have had that done to them 1,000 times. And they were able to just really stun the Winnipeg Jets, a team who, they got Connor Hellebuck back, but they got a lot of work to do to try to climb back up into the top of the Central Division standings, get themselves in potential playoff spot. They got a lot of work to do, and that was a game that they really needed. There was a game that the Jets needed at home. You should be able to close that out. But the Minnesota Wild just were not able to get it done. The Wild were 1-5 headed into that game yesterday when trailing after 2 periods. When the opposing team scored first, the Wild were 5-7-2 before yesterday. And that's the mark of a good team. Now, I know there are parts of the game that certainly warrant concern. How about the fact that outside of Matt Boldy, Joel Eriksson-Ek, Kirill Kaprizov, Matt Zuccarello, and then Jake Middleton and Jared Spurgeon, there wasn't a single additional shot on goal for the entire game. There were just 4 total shots on goal for the defensemen. Jake Middleton and Jared Spurgeon had 2 apiece. No shots for Zach Bogosian, no shots for Jonas Brodin, Brock Faber, Quinn Hughes. Nothing. Quinn Hughes had 1 that missed the net, but on the forward side, Foligno, Hartman, Hinostroza, Johansson, Sturm, Tarasenko, Trenyan, you're off. No registered shots on goal, a bunch of misses, but this is something that we have seen from this team that has really plagued them in the past, is relying too heavily on the top end guys, relying on them to do all of the heavy lifting. And I don't want to say just being around for the ride, but the offense has to come from all levels of the roster. And it was great that Matt Boldy and Kirill Kaprizov, after a couple of slow games, were able to get back on the score sheet in bunches. That was a huge reason as to why the Wild were able to win this game. But on nights then where those guys are quiet, who steps in? Now this year, at various points, it's been Marcus Johansson. Vladimir Tarasenko has really come on strong lately. So it is, it's something that just is part of the ebb and flow of the season. But it felt like there just was a lot of kind of reverting back to that. Well, Kirill and Boldy will save us. And if not for those guys, this is probably another loss for the Minnesota Wild. I got to talk to finish this first segment where we dive really deeper into the continued excellent play of Matt Boldy. The Minnesota Wild have the best road penalty kill in the league. They went 3 for 3 against the Winnipeg Jets in the win yesterday. And for the Wild all season, they have allowed 5 total power play goals in 17 road games. They're 10-6-1 on the road. They've allowed 5 total power play goals in 43 opportunities. So they've been shorthanded 43 times on the road this year, and they have allowed 5 total goals. That's 88.4% on the penalty kill for the Wild on the road. So we're getting closer to having an actual functional penalty kill. There's been a lot of good play on the PK this year, I think. We've seen Matt Boldy have a big impact there now that he has gotten more regular playing time in that spot. As far as the keys to that, well, I think one of the big spots is the fact that the Wild have been able to more consistently win faceoffs in the on the kill, as opposed to the last couple of years where they just would get just trounced in the faceoff circle. The Minnesota Wild as a team, 46.6% in the dot in all situations. But if you look at the shorthanded situations for the Minnesota Wild, they're winning faceoffs at a 52.8% clip. Now, how does that look on the road, you may ask? Well, the Minnesota Wild on the road this year in all situations are at 45.7%, but shorthanded, they're at 53.8%. And on the power play, they're at 52.4%. So they're winning the faceoffs more frequently, which is allowing them to get to the puck and get it cleared. That's one piece of the puzzle. The goalies making the saves is the other piece, and they've been able to do that more frequently on the road. Why on the road and not at home? I will never know. Because as we talk about the penalty kill being so good on the road, well, it's hideous at home. The Minnesota Wild have the worst penalty kill in the league at home at 67.9%. They have, in 22 home games, allowed 17 power play goals. Yikes. So we're getting closer, but there still is a lot of work to do. There still is plenty of work to do in order to try to get this to a respectable, in all situations, penalty kill. But they played a big role in yesterday's win, going 3 for 3 against the Winnipeg Jets. And with that 3 for 3, the Wild now find themselves at 77.1%, which is 24th in the league with those opportunities. And as far as the power play goals allowed go, the Minnesota Wild have allowed, they're right in the middle. So the fact that they don't get penalized a ton is a help, but they got to figure out what is going on at home and get that ironed out. Now, Matt Boldy had 2 goals yesterday. He has 24 goals on the season, which is something that he didn't do until almost the end of the season last year. We'll tell you when Matt Boldy scored his 24th goal of the year last year and why he has ascended so rapidly up the ladder this year. We'll talk about the Matt Boldy ascension as we continue today's episode of Locked On Wild after this. Today's episode of Locked On Wild is brought to you by Game Time. There's nothing like being near the ice during hockey season. The speed, the hits, the atmosphere is completely unmatched. Watching at home is great, but being in the building is a completely different experience. The only thing that used to get in the way was actually getting the tickets. Long queues, endless screens, and prices changing at checkout. That's why the Game Time app gives the advantage back to the fans. It's the hack for unlocking amazing NHL tickets and experiences in just a few taps. And with the World Junior Championships in Minnesota, perfect opportunity to snag tickets for both sets of games. It is going to be a fantastic opportunity to see some of the best talent the world has to offer. And you will have the best seats available in the house when you go through Game Time. So take the guesswork out of buying NHL tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL, that's LOCKEDONNHL, for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Welcome back to today's episode of Locked On Wild. Once again, we thank you for making Locked On Wild your first listen each and every day, and for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. If you are looking for a little more as far as Minnesota Wild's content goes, or the state of hockey in general, make sure to check out the Everydayer Club and the All Access tier, both available now. The link is in the show notes. You'll get access to ad-free audio of your favorite team, the Minnesota Wild, which is compatible with Apple, Spotify, and other major podcast apps. Plus, you'll be able to join the Locked On Everydayer Club Discord server, which is only available to those in the Everydayer Club. Plus, if you go all access, you get special bonus content from Locked On Wild, geared more towards the Iowa Wild, PWHL, and more to really bring you the state of hockey experience, plus one-on-one texting with me. So click on the link in the show notes to learn more about the Everydayer Club and the All Access tier right here at Locked On Wild. Matt Boldy did not score his 24th goal of the season last year until March 27th against the Washington Capitals. That was a 4-2 win for the Minnesota Wild, by the way. Again, 27th of March. He scored his 24th goal of the season against the Winnipeg Jets yesterday. And Boldy finds himself in a pretty good spot. He is projected, as of right now, to hit 50 goals. 5-0 for the goals department for Boldy. And if he continues on this pace, there's no reason that he can't get to that mark. The biggest point of contention for Matt Boldy's young career has been the consistency. He's had hot stretches, he's had cold stretches, and we as fans, you want to see more. You want to see it more spread evenly, more consistently, as opposed to all in or nothing. And this year, we are getting the all-in portion of the schedule. Boldy has, through the first 39 games of the season, 45 points. So he's on pace for 90-plus points as well this year. He has taken 129 shots on goal in 39 games this year. He had 271 all of last year in 82 games. So he is on pace, in the final 3 games, if he averages, say, 6, 7 shots on goal per game, that'll get him up to about 150. 300 shots on goal or so is perfectly in reach for Boldy here this season. He's playing a career high in minutes per night. But I think the thing that has really separated the Matt Boldy experience this year is that he has been fully capable of driving his own line. In the past, we would see him on the second line, and, maybe that line would not be a consistent performer, or you'd see some nights where they were just cold. And Boldy this year, when he's with Kirill Kaprizov, he has certainly put some good numbers together, but he has been able to do that by himself as well, which has helped deepen the lineup for this Minnesota Wild team. If you're able to put 2 guys that are playing at a very high level, and I know Kirill has been down, not as the stats say, but just in how his product has looked visually, he's still got 23 goals in the season, and he's still on pace for right around 50 himself. With Matt Boldy and Kirill Kaprizov together, they have a +5 as far as the goals department goes. They have a expected goals for percentage of 61%, 61.9% as a duo. Their Corsi for is 53%. So 53% of the time they are making a big impact as far as the shots on goal goes, other things that impact actual goals. So they're above average there. But Matt Boldy by himself is +10. 17 goals for Boldy by himself and 7 against. So Boldy has a better goal differential. The Minnesota Wild, without either of them on the ice, which has been rare, but either of them on the ice, 22 goals for and 30 goals against. So 2 critical pieces to what the Minnesota Wild are trying to do, but it's not as it has previously been of Kirill Kaprizov, having to elevate Matt Boldy's game. Matt Boldy's game's doing just fine by himself, and we saw that yesterday against the Jets. He had that sequence in which he wins a puck battle and just basically is fully involved, fully active the entirety of the play, and that just has become a regular occurrence for him. Like we don't have these stretches of games where he goes quiet. Now there are some games in which that has happened, but as Michael Russo notes from the game last night, they're just a tremendous job by Matt Boldy. Wins a puck battle along the wall, then fights his way to the front of the net. Russo says so much growth the last few years. This was exactly what Bill Guerin wanted to see after his first couple of playoff series. So not only is he scoring the goals, he's keeping the shifts alive. He's keeping play alive, and is doing whatever he needs to do to make sure that the Wild are able to get shots on net, goals, all of those different things that have led to this team being where they're at as we flip the calendar to 2026. So the Boldy ascension just continues. I mean, he's 4th in the league right now as far as goals go. He's tied for third with Connor McDavid. He's tied for third with Connor McDavid as far as goals this season go. So just a fantastic year. It's the best bargain contract in the league, bar none, period, point blank. Best value contract in the entire NHL. You will not find a better contract anywhere, I promise you. He's going to be making 13, 14, 15 million on his next deal, but you deal with that later. We'll deal with that later. We don't have to worry about that right now. We had a trade made today. We'll tell you who came in for the Minnesota Wild, and we'll take a look ahead to tomorrow night's matchup against the Vegas Golden Knights. Golden Knights in a playoff spot right now, but things haven't clicked as they did last year yet. So we'll preview the game coming up right after this here on Locked on Wild. Final segment of today's episode of Locked on Wild. Once again, we thank you for making Locked on Wild your first listen each and every day. Again, make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss out on any new episodes throughout the week. We've got new episodes for you every Monday through Friday as part of the Locked On Podcast Network. So, the standings just quickly as we gear up for tomorrow night's game against Vegas. Minnesota Wild are 5 points behind the Dallas Stars. Stars have lost 2 in a row. Avs, the Vegas had them right where they wanted them. And the Avs get the tying goal late, and they end up getting the win. 7 in a row, 28-2-7 on the season. They have the most points in the league by a mile, 63 points. The Wild are 3 points ahead of the Carolina Hurricanes, who have 2 games in hand. So technically Carolina, but again, people say like, well, technically Carolina is third. Well, yeah, they have to win those games though in order to get those points. So I go by points collected as far as who has the most right now. The 3 best teams in the NHL reside in the Central Division, but the Wild have started to narrow the gap against the Dallas Stars, which we'll see. We'll see how that continues. The Minnesota Wild acquiring forward Boris Katchouk from the Tampa Bay Lightning in exchange for forward Mikey Milne. Milne was in Iowa, and this is a depth move for the Minnesota Wild, and really doesn't need to be treated like anything other than that. It's not any sort of a sneaky good signing or just a trade that's going to have a massive impact on this roster. It's an Iowa depth move. Katchouk has skated in 3 games with Tampa Bay this year. He has 10 points, 4 goals, and 6 assists with the Syracuse Crunch of the AHL this season. He's 6'2", 212 pounds. He has 36 total points in 179 career games with Tampa Bay, Chicago, and Ottawa. He had 15 goals and 21 assists in that span. It is a depth move. Mikey Milne was, another one of those guys down in the minors that just felt like there were a few too many pieces above him to get his chance to make the roster. And when you have guys in front of you like Riley Heidt, Rasmus Kumpalainen, Charlie Stramel will be on that list as well. It just felt like the opportunities for him to, get consistent playing time on this NHL team just aren't there. So you make a move to get in a little more of a veteran piece to add to this Iowa Wild mix. If he plays at the NHL level for more than like a game or so, then there have been massive injuries that have ravaged this roster. It's an AHL depth move, period, point blank. That's all there is to it. Let's spend the final few minutes of the show today talking about the Vegas Golden Knights. Vegas is 17-8-11. So they've got 45 points in 36 games. 17-19 is a more common way to go with that. So they have done a good job of getting the overtime point, but they have lost a lot of overtime games so far this season. And actually, that game against Colorado ended up being a shootout, 6-5. So for the Golden Knights, they come in and they are 1-2-2 in their last 5 games. And they, because of injuries, they have been relying more on Carter Hart to fill the net at this point. He did just play against Colorado, gave up 5 goals in that game. So not sure if he will be in net for the Golden Knights when we play him, but we'll wait and see. As far as team rankings go for the Golden Knights here this season, they are leading the Pacific Division. They have 45 points, as we mentioned. They're averaging 3.17 goals per game. So they scored 114. They've given up 105. So just over 3 goals as far as the scoring goes. 2.92 goals against per game on the other end. So they've had, it's typical to what we would expect from the Vegas Golden Knights. It's a more defense-heavy approach, but they obviously have plenty of superstar talent on that roster. Regardless, Vegas on the power play side, they are 7th in the league, 25.2%. The Wild, 2 spots behind them at 9th, 23.1. Vegas penalty kill is 12th in the league at 81.6%. The Wild are considerably behind them at 24th. For the Golden Knights, from a scoring perspective, they are led this season by Jack Eichel with 41 points. He's got 12 goals on the season. Mitch Marner, 39 points in 36 games, but just the 9 goals. So not, Marner is certainly a 30-goal, 100-point capable player, but more of the assists so far this year as opposed to the goals. You know what Vegas has at this point. They've got Jack Eichel. Mark Stone has played 20 games this season and is back. He will actually play this time. The last couple of times he has been on he's been on injured reserve that the Wild have played, so he will actually be in the lineup. You got Pavel Dorofeyev with 15 goals. Tomas Hertl has 15 goals as well. Ivan Barbashev with 12. So those are going to be the main guys that are going to be doing the scoring, but they have plenty of depth and plenty of ability to put goals on the board. And the Minnesota Wild did beat them previously this year. That was back in overtime, 3-2, back in mid-November. And Kirill Kaprizov had the OT goal on the power play. Wild had a 2-1 lead going into the third. They gave up a power play goal. 2 power play goals for the Golden Knights in that matchup. And just a real tight battle between these two teams. I expect nothing less between these two for tomorrow night's game against the Golden Knights. The Wild in the midst of a 7-game, 14-day road trip because of the World Junior Championships going on at Grand Casino Arena right now. And so it's going to be the West Coast swing. The Wild will play Vegas, San Jose, Anaheim, the LA Kings twice, and Seattle on this 7-game trip, which started in Winnipeg. So a lot of late starts. New Year's Eve, however, they play at 3 p.m. at San Jose, so that's nice. But 9 p.m. tomorrow night, 9:30 on Friday, 8 p.m. and 9:30 p.m. Saturday and Monday, January 5th, and then 9 p.m. against Seattle. before returning to play the New York Islanders at home on January 10th. Would be nice to see the Wild put this together as a solid road trip, come away with some big wins, certainly winnable games on this trip. They just have to, you can't do what we have seen happen in a couple of different games recently. You can't do the thing where you just expect you're going to beat Nashville. Now, I will say the Wilds certainly had, they didn't have a ton of energy in that game, which certainly contributed, but you show up, you take care of your business, and you come away with the wins. 7-game road trip. If you can go 5-2, put yourself in a good spot, because Anaheim's no pushover anymore. The Los Angeles Kings have been a tough matchup for the Wild over the last few seasons. Seattle is a mess, and San Jose has a full abundance of talent. Just don't really know what to do with it yet. So start the road trip with a couple of quality wins here, and we'll track it all the way into 2026. But that's going to do it for today's episode of Locked On Wild. Once again, we thank you for making Locked On Wild your first listen each and every day. Again, if you have not already, make sure to check out the Everydayer Club. Link is in the show notes of today's show. If you are interested in joining for a little bonus content, go to the all access tier as well. Make sure to hit the like button on YouTube and subscribe. If you want to leave us a 5-star review, we will give you a shout out in the next episode. So we'll see. We'll have a preview of the week coming up with Alex tomorrow. We'll also talk about a few other key topics for the Minnesota Wild over the last few days. That's all coming up as we move closer to the start of 2026. Hard to believe it's already basically here. But thanks for tuning into today's episode. We'll be back with you for the next one right here on Locked On Wild, your team every day.